The 2-minute message preview this week at the non-denominational New Hope Olympia is Be More in 2024. Lessons from the life of Gideon. Many of us are familiar with the management concept of downsizing. We're told to do more with less. However, nations don't usually downsize when preparing for war. They mobilize their reserves and cancel all leaves and requests for discharge and retirement. God frequently trims our resources to get us to depend entirely on Him. Sickness, financial reversal, family conflict, and other difficulties cause us to turn our lives over to God. When the odds seem overwhelming, God overwhelms the odds. Gideon's force was already hugely outnumbered. The Midianite army was 135,000 strong, while Gideon's force numbered a mere 32,000. Gideon must have been pondering his slim chance of survival. At least he understood the might of his enemy. We often ignore the forces around us that try to snare and defeat us. We need to recognize that we're engaged in spiritual warfare daily, battling the world, the flesh, and the devil. God ordered a massive reduction in force to guarantee that history would record this battle as a divine victory. It's been cynically observed that providence is on the side of the strongest battalion. Gideon's army proved otherwise, that victory is in the hand of God. After returning most of his army to civilian status, Gideon's only hope was in the Lord of hosts. The downsizing resulted in a vulnerable 22,000-man reduction in force. Gideon was left with a meager 300 troops. His only option was to trust God or perish. He was left virtually without an army. But when serving in God's army, we become part of the overwhelming minority. In his book Hearts of Iron, Feet of Clay, Gary Inrig states, "You cannot be too small for God to use, but you can be too big. If you want credit for what God is doing, God will not use you. That is why, as you look around, you will see God working powerfully in the lives of some frail people. They are people who are careful to give God the glory. Who gets the credit when we're successful? Do we bask in our victory or praise God for His work?" Pastor Dell challenges us to be more in 2024 in his weekend message. He demonstrates how we can be more in 2024 by observing the 5 qualities in Gideon's life that enabled him to be used by God to become a great man of God. Learn this from Gideon: every experience in life is a test. And every trial in the lives of God's people is tailored to draw us closer to God. Here's the point: when tough times come, instead of looking at them as if God is punishing you, try to see them as God's gift of grace.